what's happening. We are grateful for another opportunity to be with you. We are getting ready to do this thing with you tonight. My microphone, trying to get it connected real quick. Oh, there it is. So listen, I want to do the headphone locks. Since the microphone won't act right, we'll use the mic that's on the tablet. So it then won't connect my microphone. So we'll do it next time. Anyway, listen, you guys know that we were doing Who Are You Loving? Are you still in love with your ex? Are you in love with your present? Are you in love with your former husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other? Private level. So that's what we were doing. And we hope that what we said, how we said it, the manner we said it, and I know it may have been something that was just off the wall to some people, but we did it because we wanted to find out because so many people are struggling uh, in relationships. And then some people won't even say that they are or that they're not. But relationships are very, very important and very significant. And so many people are in relationships or trying to get in relationships for that matter. So listen, as we look at this and as we move forward and we're done with that, we're hoping that at some point and at some place that it did help somebody. It did help you look at the fact to help you look at the struggle that you had because some people are still in love with somebody that they used to be with. They're still in love with their ex-husband. They're still in love with the wife that passed, the husband that passed, somebody that they were in love with 20, 30 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, 2, 3 years ago, 6, 7 months ago. And they decided that they wanted to move on and they are in a new relationship and they're trying to figure out why they're having so many problems in their present relationship now. So some of the reasons and some of the conflicts are is that there's a struggle on the inside. There's a mental struggle, emotional struggle, psychological struggle. There are so many things that are going on, and in the dynamics of it, you have these arguments, these debates. Some of the debates and arguments are with yourself. You are bargaining with yourself. You are trying to accept the fact that you decided to make this decision. You still are struggling with whether or not you want to love this person you with. What made you fall in love? What made you think you were in love with them while you were still in love with the person that you was previously with? You found out that you hadn't fallen out of love with them. That was something that was still there. You ran into them and the spark rekindled and all of these other things. And you was like, I don't know what I did. I don't know what came over me. Why did I do this? And what made me do this here? What made me do that? Well, the thing about it is that you didn't give yourself most of the time enough time to be able to detox, to mentally, to emotionally move on. So tonight we want to look at, as Evangelist asked me, she said, I was sitting down and I was looking at it. I was talking with some of my friends at work, some of my coworkers, and I realized that sometimes dealing with the topic that you was just looking at, most of the time people are just trying to figure out whether they're coping or whether they're existing or whether they're living. So tonight we want to look at coping, want to look at existing, we want to look at living. So the topic tonight is existing, coping, or just living. So in your relationship, hey cousin Larry, how you doing? Tonight we want to find out, are you existing? Are you just coping? Or are you living? Or do you know which one you're really doing? So when you look at the fact, and Evangelist has pulled up some definitions for y'all, I'm gonna let her jump in here in just a second. When you look at the mere fact of existing, that's both mental, emotional, psychological, physical. That's in the affectionate areas. That's in social areas. That's in sexual areas. When you look at the fact of coping, that's even in that. We have coping mechanisms for everything. We find ways to cope. What are you using to cope with the thing that's there? What do you call living? Because when you look at the word living, you got to look at the mere fact there's just more than just the things that you're doing, the places that you're going, the things that you have. Living has a little bit more to it than just the breath that you breathe, the place where you reside. You know what I'm saying? The community in which you live in. So, on that note, for a brief second, I will pause and I'm gonna let her just begin to give you some of these definitions and give you her take on existing, coping, and living. She said, "You ain't gonna remember what you said to me earlier and how you was gonna bring this thing in because that's where some of y'all at in y'all relationship. Y'all just existing in the relationship. Some of y'all just coping with the relationship. And some of y'all just living day by day, just hoping that the day go by, the week hurry up and end, hoping you make it another month, make it another year, just to say, oh, we done made another anniversary, y'all. We still together, y'all. Y'all thought we wasn't gonna make it. Oh, we done made 20 years, we done made 5 years, oh, we made a year, oh, we made that 5 year stretch, oh, we done made them 7 years, and y'all can't say we was gonna break up. Y'all said, you know, the first 5 years of harm, by the time you make year number 7, oh, y'all know how the old folks said it. So on that note, let me bring Evangelist in right now for her to give y'all some definitions and give y'all her take on existing, coping, and living.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I pray that everyone has had an awesome weekend. I know I have. I have been pretty much trying to work at home and go clock in and go work at the jail and still come back in and do it over again the next day. So today, as I was sitting and I was thinking, and after Apostle and I had been up for a while, and we was talking on last night. One of the biggest things that I looked at, can I add this before I get started with it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
It's on you. It's your turn.
All right. One of the biggest things.
You had to say, so when you listen together, we doing this together, right?
Right. So one of the biggest things that I looked at is that a lot of times we as pastors, leaders, evangelists, prophets, we all are always preaching, teaching, giving encouragement, building, and adding to someone's life. But none of us really take the time to go back to see how effective that the things that we have done and said have been to impact someone's natural and everyday life. So one of the biggest things that I looked at, and as he and I was talking, we was looking at our conversation piece at the seat of the table because a lot of times people come on and they'll be like, oh, they preaching, they preaching, they preaching. It's not the point of us being about preaching. It's the point of us helping someone be able to live and to know how to apply the messages that we teach and that we preach. Because it's one thing for me to teach and preach to you, but it's another whenever you have to actually live these things out.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you have to live these things out, it's kind of hard for people to apply and to put these things in place. So it's easier for us to sit down and let's have a conversation. Because one of the biggest things in how the seat at the table became birth is that we had loved ones that would come and sit at our table, friends and family. And whenever I tell you that we would sit at the table in the kitchen for hours on top of hours, just sitting there talking about life issues, how we can change the situations that we're in or things that are irritating us and that are bothering us. But whenever we got up from the table, we felt relieved. You all, you will be surprised how many phone calls or how many text messages that we have gotten saying, I miss being able to come to the house just for us to have a cup of coffee and sit down at the table just to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it. I said, you know what? These were people that we preached to, that we talked to, that followed our ministry, but they got more out of just sitting down having a conversation with us than they were actually getting out of the service part. And I said, you know what? I would rather take that abroad because you don't know who come in contact with these videos. You don't know where they're at in their life when they come in contact with these videos.
That's right.
You don't know the impact of what you're saying is going to have on that person's life because they came in contact with that video. I was sitting down and I was thinking about it because everybody knows that I work in healthcare and I have worked in several different areas of healthcare. And I thank God that I did because I have met a lot of good people and I've met a lot of bad people on this journey. But a lot of the good ones, I took the time to listen to what they said. And I learned some things from the bad ones because there was just some examples that I just didn't want to follow. So to say all of that is that I had a preacher that was talking to me, and it's funny because everybody loves to talk to me whenever they find out that I'm married to the man of God, because that's when they say, "Oh, you're married to the man of God." So whenever we would talk, he was sitting down and he said, "You know what, Kendra?" He said, "I'm a Latter-day Saint preacher," is what he was telling me. And he said where he was at was somewhere overseas, and that where he was pastoring at, that the church had a cross that would light up on a timer at nighttime. But the church was down in like, yeah, it was like a valley because the house is set up on the hill, but the church sat down low. And this one particular night, this gentleman had shared with him that he had came to the church on that Monday or that Tuesday. He knew that the pastor would be there. He said, "I just want you to know that the cross on that church saved my life." And he said, "You know, it bothered me because at first I didn't understand what he was saying." So he said, I asked him, "Do tell." He said, "One night I was at my lowest place and I was ready to just give up on life.
Yeah.
I was ready to commit suicide that night. And I was contemplating in my mind of how I was going to do it." He said, "And I stood out on the edge." And he said, whenever he was sitting out on the edge, and he started thinking that, what if I just jump off where I'm at? They'll find me in the morning. And he said, right whenever he made that decision, the light of the cross came on. And he said, "Lord, that must be a sign that you want me to live. I'm going to see that pastor and talk to him in the morning." And I said that because a lot of times, whenever we going forth and we doing what God told us to do, you have no clue of why you're doing it. Because, like he said, that cross was just on a timer. So to him, it was just coming on.
Right.
It was just shining bright. But to that person at that moment, it meant a lot more because that very timer that was set for that cross to come on was the very moment that someone was choosing between life and death. And I thought about that and I started thinking about that, that a lot of times whenever we come to this table and we come on Monday and Saturday nights and we have these conversations, we have these conversations. Why? Because we know people are dealing with real issues. We know people are dealing with real life. We know somebody is contemplating on what they're going to do next. Exactly. We know that someone is in a situation that they don't know which way they're going to go. That's right. So whenever we have these conversations, we're not just sitting here to have an idle conversation. We're not just sitting here because we want to look good and we want to make a name for ourselves. We're sitting here because we know somebody needs to hear something to let them know you can make it.
That's right. I mean, I've been down the road myself where, even contemplating suicide at one point. So I definitely understand the struggle. I definitely know what it is to wonder if you're just existing. I definitely know what it is to be at a place of just coping with issues or just wondering, am I just living? Should I just be here or just getting by? So when Evangelist came up with the topic, I was sitting down thinking and looking at things and talking with coworkers and stuff. It wasn't hard to be able to relate, to understand, to look at, to be able to identify with what she's talking about. So when she said, "Does this relate to what we said?" No, it's your time. But listening at her tell the story of what one of the pastors I said, I definitely can relate to because I've been at that place, wanted to do that, tried it on a couple of occasions, but I'm still here. So dealing with things of that nature, knowing what it is, and being able to help people or being able to share with people where you've been to know you can't just be at a place where you just exist. You got a lot of people that are dead that are still yet alive, that are in dead relationships while they make people believe that the relationship is very, you're right, very good, exciting, full of love, full of life, They know how to put on very well. They got better actors in relationships than the actors that act in relationships in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Oh,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you good.
Because you was gonna get something. I mean, I know you was gonna get some definitions too. But you know, when you said that, you know, it brings up some things when you think about it, because to exist is just like your computer, it's like your desk, it's like your bed. All of those things, that's what they're doing. They're existing. They're sitting there. They are just pretty much there until somebody pick it up and get there and begin to use it. That's right. Hey, cousin Ross, just to say hello again. She said, flesh don't matter. The struggle is real. Being able to reach people, you know, with that. I mean, you're right. And you're right. And that means everything. You have to be able to be at a place to put yourself in a position. Paul says, you know, I'm everything to every man. He said, be thou an example, you know, to the believers in everything. I mean, so you have to be willing to use of yourself, take yourself, not be ashamed of yourself, not be ashamed of the things that you're in. To exist also simply means that you're ashamed of what God has delivered you from, what Christ has brought you from, what He's freed you from. You are ashamed of the mere fact that He took you out of the things. He brought you out of darkness into the. You can sing all day long that He brought me out, He delivered me. You don't have real deliverance and true deliverance until you're at a place that it doesn't bother you. You're not ashamed of it. You can talk about it. Somebody can bring it up and it doesn't make you feel bad on the inside. You don't start crying about it. So when you're just existing, you're hoping that don't nobody say nothing, don't nobody bother you, ain't nobody calling on you. You just sitting in somebody's sanctuary, you know, hoping that it's all right. You're giving a little offering, you're giving a little tithe, you're sitting there and they ain't saying nothing about you. They don't talk about your past. They don't bring up nothing about your past. As soon as they say something about what you did, where you came from, who you did it with, how long you did it, how long you stayed in it, or they touch on saying come out of it, you get up and you find a church that make you comfortable. They ain't talking about the sin. They ain't talking about the issue. They ain't talking about you got a mental problem. They ain't talking about you that said some things that hurt your wife, hurt your girlfriend, hurt your lover, you know, telling you need to stop laying up just, you know, being with somebody. You can't deal with the fact, you know, that they done said, well, you done had 5 wives, but they wasn't yours. You done had 5 husbands, but they wasn't your husband. You stayed with them. You wasn't married to them. Common law said it, but that ain't a marriage. You know, so are you just there? Are you coping with the fact that you hoping that an argument doesn't take place, a dispute doesn't come about? You're hoping that you don't trigger them this time to become angry or an outburst doesn't happen. So there are many things. We got different cope. You know, you drinking just to cope with the issue. You smoking because of that. You done got on drugs because of that. You laying there and allowing them to have sex with you so that you know you ain't worried about this, that, and the third. You using your body in all kind of ways to make sure they ain't going here, going there. They ain't got this one, they ain't got that one. Or you allow yourself to be a part of a sexual ring because that's what they want to do, but you don't want to really be a part of it. Or you done gave them your daughter or your son because that's what they wanted. So you coping with it so that don't nobody know what's really going on in your house. Don't nobody know what's going on in your head. You got all of this beautiful makeup on and everybody think you pretty, but you got all of these bruises up underneath your skin. They trying to figure out why you always wearing long sleeves and you got cuts all on your wrist. You know, you got bruises all about your neck and you all it's 105 degrees outside and you got a turtleneck on. What the world wrong with you, child? You got makeup caked up on your face. So you know you living in a situation that you know can end up in disaster. You living in a place that is unfit. It's unsanitary. It's emotionally, it is psychologically, it is physically, it is mentally, it is affectionately. You know that you should not still be there, but you chose to be living in a place like that. You know it's dangerous. You know it's unfit for a dog to be there. It's unsanitary for a child to be in the space where you are. You know the conditions are just deplorable. They degrade. So, you know, when you talk about living, it goes all across the board. So we got to look at that. You know, the ministry you're a part of, You know the city that you live in. You know the water you've been drinking, even if you bought it, is still going to cause you to have a bacterial infection. It's going to cause you kidney problems, urinary tract problems. It's got so much bacteria in it that it will cause you irritable bowel problems, all kind of issues. So you know what's going on. So when we look at all of these things, I'm gonna stop right there because being a person that's a psych major, I can take you all kind of places. You're on all kind of psychotropic drugs, but you still can't sleep at night. You walking in your sleep at night. Y'all talk to me.
Yes.
You're right, cuz you're coping with it. Help the church, free the church. You're right. I mean, that's what we got to do. I mean, in the black church, the white church, we got so many things that's going on. We'd rather pay folk off than to deal with the issue that's there. Instead of putting it out, instead of removing them from where they are, instead of setting folk down, instead of dealing with the issues, we rather bury it, pay for it, cover it up, or move away from it and not deal with it. In all of our families, we got brothers and sisters that ain't our brother and sister. We got aunts and uncles that ain't our aunt and uncle.
Right.
And we know that, and we've been dealing with this for years instead of dealing with the issue that's there, so it don't stop, but it's still going on. So are we existing? Or we just learn to cope? Because we found ways to just cope with it. Well, I just see it and I don't see it. I hear it and I don't hear it. Well, I just hold on to them because that's all I got. That's what I've learned to do. That's what my mama did. That's what my daddy did. My grandmother always did it, and she always told me, well, baby, you just got to love them anyway. The Bible said you got to love them. Sometimes you just got to love the hell out of you. You just got to just do good to people anyway. Well, that's one thing about it, but there's some other things that the word say more than that as well. It's good to do good, but in doing good, are you really helping them? Have you really shown them that some things got to stop? Are you afraid to just tell people, no, you got to stop doing that? I'm not going to allow you to continue to do that. You know it ain't right. You just got to put a stop to it. So you just coping with the fact that they doing you some things that you know should not be done. And you just let it go home. You know they're doing your children wrong. You know they're handling it wrong. You know they're talking to you wrong. If my voice get out the way, trust me, my wife let me know. If I make her feel bad, she gonna let me know. She ain't gonna say Gary. She gonna say, babe, not John. She gonna let me know.
Bishop.
Yeah, she gonna say that. And you call yourself the apostle. She say that too, man. We being real. Because I'd rather be honest, I'd rather be real. And I tell my wife, I don't like being fake. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight up with you. This is real talk. T.I. is one of my favorite people. And, one of his songs, Real Talk, I can't say the other words because some of y'all so saved, y'all going to be super sensitive. He said, I can have all of these things. I can have your woman and all this other stuff and so on. I live that life. And at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you right now, real talk. We talk like that. My wife's like, she'll tell me quick. You might won't stop. You hurt my feelings. That's like, how I hurt your feelings? Did you realize what you say, how you say it?
That's it.
My voice tone strong. Ain't got nothing to do with your voice tone. You always holler about your voice tone.
That's it.
So are you just coping with it? Are you just allowing yourself to hide within yourself because, well, that's just them. That's just how they are. Child, my mama told my wife, I dealt with his daddy for 30 years. You can deal with him. I said, Mama, that was my daddy. I said, I couldn't even deal with my daddy like that. You talking about she can deal with me. You dealt with my daddy. I said, I said, I don't believe you really dealt with my daddy like that. You put up with my daddy. You ain't cope with my daddy. You put up with my daddy. I said, what the what? Hey, daughter, how you doing? No, you're right, cuz. Get free. Stop dealing with it because we deal with too many things. Pull the sheets off. That's right. How do you what the song said back in the day? If walls could talk. Boy, y'all know if walls and doors and doorknobs and floors could talk. Boy, if sheets could talk, if the bed could talk, boy, if cars could talk, if seats in the car could talk. So you're right, and you're right, Larry. You're right, cousin Larry. If everything is possible, if we can believe, and that's what the word says. We believe so many things, but the things that we supposed to believe And we believe in so many people, but we don't have that much belief in the Lord like we supposed to until. And I love the word until. See, unto has no end, but until has an end. Unto, is infinite. It's finite. It just keep on going. But until it has an end. Until means you made me mad. You done me wrong. You done teed me off. You done put me in a bind. You done backed me up against the wall. You done put me in a position where I'm a dog or a cat, and I ain't got no choice but to come out scratching. That's right. So until, but unto me, hey, until the world come to an end and Jesus come back unto. And that's what I love about what God does. He does it unto, not until. But people does it until the money run out.
Stipulation.
Exactly. There's no conditions on what God does. So when you coping, when you existing, and when you do what you call living, that's what it is. And you're right, daughter. You're right, Shaquita. A lot of us would be exposed if you're right. I know that's a whole lot of things would have exposed me a long time ago. Matter of fact, let's go here. If the computer could really talk. Not people sending the videos of what we did, but the things that we have done on our phones and our computer, boy, them things, if the screens can talk. See, every now and then my phone, for some reason, depending on what I'm doing on my games on my phone act like it be taking pictures, and I be trying to figure out what my wife, if my phone didn't take a picture and I ain't take a picture on my phone, it be flashing. I said, well, I guess that's big boy trying to, I said, I got what they call it, big brother. Big brother trying to take a picture, and then my Google will start coming on. I'm like, I ain't asked you. Yeah, Google be to ask me what I say. I say, Google, I ain't asked you for nothing. So I'm gonna stop for a quick second because we done got caught up.
And I ain't trying to go too far. All right, one of the biggest things that I looked at is that I took the time and I wanted to look at the definition of existing. And we know that existing is the adjective of the verb, which is exist, okay? So one of the biggest things that it says is in existence, it says in existence or operation at the time under consideration current. Then it says under exist, it says have objective, reality, or being. It says also be found especially in a particular place or situation. We all understand that we all get caught up in certain situations. It could be the situation of the job. You on that job and you sick of that job. I had a job I never forget. Every time I went to work, as soon as I got to the door, I caught a migraine. And I was going to the doctor every week about that doggone migraine. The doctor said, I just want to ask you one question. He said, when you get this migraine, when do you get it? I said, I get up, I can go all day and have no problems. But as soon as I get to work, I get this migraine. My head hurt, my eyes be hurting. Everything about me would be hurting. He said, you want me to tell you how to deal with this? I said, yes. He said, do you really want me to tell you and be honest? I said, yes. He said, I need you to quit that job. He said, that job is your issue. Your job is your problem. Have you ever been in your house and you feel like you got no peace in your house? And it seems like every day you just don't feel good. And right about now, a lot of people are dealing with depression. So because you're dealing with depression, a lot of times it's the situation that you're in. Believe it or not, a lot of God's people are on medication because they're dealing with depression. They're dealing with problems and they're dealing with issues. They are just existing.
That's right.
They have accepted that current situation. Go ahead.
No, I said I was asking what you were saying. That's what's causing the problems they got: the ulcers, the headaches, the high blood pressure, the hypertension. That's caused you the problems with the valves in your heart. That cause you the irregular heartbeats. That cause you the restless leg syndrome. That cause you the nervous eyes, the nervous twitching. That's what's giving you the problems that you have. As far as not being able to eat, that's causing you the hypervolemics. that's causing you all of the schisms that you have, the feelings of having strokes that's giving you all the anxieties that you have, the nervousness you have, the sweaty palms, the sweaty feet, that's causing you to have all the irritations that you have, that's causing you to have the breakouts, the hives. Some of y'all are having, unexpected hives. Your skin just starts weathering, and all of a sudden you got all of these whaps on you because your body go through these changes, and all of a sudden it produces things that you never had going on before. You starting to bleed. You have ulcers. You got ulcers in places you never had before, not just in your stomach. You starting to produce things in your body that you never had. You got ulcers on your skin, and you trying to figure out why you got ulcers on your skin. You got dark spots under your eyes, and you got all of these issues going on. And you're right. You exist. Your cup sit there. I told you that several times. A cup is existing. You existing on your job. You existing in your relationship. You got all of these things that's going on. My daughter said, "Lord Jesus, you hit my house." Well, we have the control. Remember in Genesis, and I'm going to stop for a second because she got the next word coming up, coping. In Genesis chapter 1, God told Adam that he should have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the beasts of the land, over everything. Then he told him to subdue. The word to have dominion means authority. You have authority. You have the power to allow people to cause you just to be there. You abiding, you existing, you just in there because they know they can get you to do whatever they want you to do. They can get you to react whatever way they want you to react. Not just triggers. They know they got total control over you. They have dominion over you, over your mind, over your body, over your soul, over your spirit. They got control over your actions, your reactions, your responses. They know what your response times are. They can make you jump when they say jump without even saying jump. They don't have to say a word. All they got to do is get up, and you gonna get up, and you doing stuff like this. You frantic because you so worried about what they gonna do, how they gonna do it, what they gonna say, how they gonna say it. That you doing things, and they sitting back within themselves. They just not because they have absolute total control over you because you exist just for them. You don't exist for yourself. You don't love yourself. You don't love yourself enough to take back your authority. You so afraid of them that you forgot that God didn't give you the spirit of fear. You don't even have to be saved. And we got some folk on here that don't really know the Lord or they ain't saved right now, but you know enough about God to know God didn't give you the spirit of fear, but of love, of power, and of a sound mind. Love means you got peace. That means you ain't got no peace in your heart. John says it like this, so she can get to the definition of coping. He says, perfect love casteth out all fear. There's no torment in perfect love. You torment. When you just exist and you are in torment. It's like the word torment is the subroot of the word torture. You being tortured every day because you ain't got no peace. He said, of power. That means dominion. Of a sound mind means you have discipline. You have allowed yourself to bring your thoughts and everything in control. And I'll stop there so she can get to the next level because I can get excited real quick, girl. I'm sorry.
All right, coping.
Because I had to train myself to do these same things, and I have to keep myself in mind of these same things every day because I allow some of these same things to happen in my life. That's why I talk about it with so much passion and with so much vigor because I'm telling y'all, I feel.
All right, coping. Coping is a noun, okay? It says the top typically sloping course of a brick or stone wall.
Is that where you the top? You the sloping? Or you the top of that brick of that stone wall? Did you hear what it said? You the sloping part. In other words, you the head of that.
So whenever you get down to the actual root word is cope. And the word meaning of cope is deal effectively with something difficult.
Oh, I'm gonna let you. I'm excited.
I don't want to say because I ain't want to do. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I'm looking at what my daughter said. She said, Lord, this word is on tonight. And see, this is what it's all about. And my wife said this early, evangelist said her, see, sometimes I don't know what to call it. Evangelist on my wife, and she live with a bowl. And she don't let her fool you. See, I'm excited right now, but she gets just as excited as me because she started shouting Sunday after the message. Somebody got too much fire there. But anyway, that's on another whole other level. But anyway, daughter, I want to say this to you. when you look at it and you recognize it, sometimes we run away from some things that God is trying to bring us through, and we cope with it by getting ourselves busy. My grandmother called it, like I said, we do busy work. We find busy work to do to put ourselves at a place that we can now take our mind off of what's going on. That's another reason to cope with things. It just exists in the present situation so that we don't have to deal with it, so that what it does, it keeps us from causing anything to become worse than what it already is, because we're doing busy work. We're doing so much busy work that the busy work keeps us from living. You're right. It gives us an alternate reality. And you're right. It's spiritual. You know, dig up the root of the matter, stop allowing the root to take over you. And we dealt with getting to the root of things not long ago.
Yep.
Cousin Lauren, we talked about that not long ago. I'm glad you said that the evidence of the root is the manifest of the surface. You can either deal with it or allow God to deliver you. And you're right. And that's what happened, because when you get to the root of things, you can now, and I just told my wife earlier today, when you get to the root of something, you dig up the root, and now you find all of the roots that are connected to it.
Yes.
And then you grind up the stump so that it don't produce any more seeds, to where it have the ability to be able to produce itself again. Because you have to now get to the root of it. Because think about it. Paul says that we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, but with principality, power, rulers, and spiritual wickedness in high places. And when you give something the ability, notice he gave the levels of it, because there are different levels that go up. And each level has the strength to be able to cause you to now exist, to cope, or just live. And some of us, we just live in order to be at a place to where we can say, we got something. I made it. I came through. We don't want to see, when you have gotten to the place that Jesus has saved you, he has delivered you, and he has healed you. When all three of these things have taken place, it now have brought you to a position to where you can actually say that I'm free. When you're free and the Son have freed you indeed, you can now say, as Paul says, you are no longer entangled with the same yoke of bondage, and you won't return.
Come on. Yes, Lord.
Yeah, the devil he's very strategic. And I can tell you the boy strategic. Let me use me. When you look at the word coping, and you look at the fact that, give me that definition again.
Which one?
For cope.
Oh, it says deal effectively with something difficult.
When you look at being able to deal with something that is difficult, but to be effective, and to look at the fact that Satan is strategic, his strategicness is only because of the mere fact that, as God said to Job, or said to Satan when he looked at Job, have you considered my servant Job?
Yes.
Did you ever look at the mere fact, when you talking about existing, coping, and living, God already knew that you could deal with it. Hey, Evangelist Raymond, when you look at it and you think about the mere fact, God knew that you could deal with it, and only because he knows himself in you. Do you trust God enough in you to be able to allow the existence of who God is in you to show you how to deal with the strategies that Satan has set up? He will not allow you to be tempted above what he knows you can handle. God already knows what you can handle. He's already made a way of escape for you. Now, when the door is open, you will either walk through the door or stay there and play it.
Come on.
How do I know? Because many times in this journey that God had given me, both prior and in salvation, I had the choice to make of whether or not I was going to cope with the stuff and deal with it, lay in it and play in it, or get up and leave it. Now, it's up to us which one we're going to do. When God delivered me from it, I had to make sure that I set up a strategy, because I knew he was coming back. He says Satan gonna flee for a season. When God deliver you, Satan flee for a season. What are you doing? He's sitting back to see what you're doing, how you're putting yourself in position to get strong enough to deal with when he come back. That's no different when you graduate from kindergarten, pre-K, Head Start, and all these other things that kids got now, and you going from one grade to the next grade, from one level, from glory to glory, from faith to faith. Satan already know whether or not you have allowed the information that you have acquired, ascertain if you're applying it really to your life. in your natural life, your mental life, your social life, your emotional life, your physical life, your sexual life, your affectionate life. He knows whether or not the things that you played around with. All of us have played in a whole lot of stuff. All of us have been around a lot of stuff. All of us have been around a lot of folk that have played with some stuff. All of us have been, propositioned with a whole lot of stuff.
Come on.
Some of us have fell with a whole lot of stuff. Some of us have allowed some folk to bring some stuff to us, and it wasn't temptation. They brought it to us. We liked it. We was curious about it. We played with it for a little bit, and we said, nah, that ain't what I really want to do. That ain't my cup of tea. Some of us went all the way in it and found out, nah, that ain't something I ain't gonna do the rest of my life. And you ain't gonna have my name out there saying that's what they do, that's what they like, that's what they are now. Well, there was a lot of stuff that I played in as well. I said, well, you know what? I got the title, but I'm gonna show you, even though I got the title, that ain't my name. So what is your name? Mm-hmm. Do you know your name? So are you coping with the fact that you worried about and concerned about the fact that people know that you played in some places that you shouldn't have been playing in, and you played in some baskets and ate some fruit that other folk ate? Stop worrying about that. So even though he was strategic, he know how to place things right there. What he have done, he disguised it to make it look like it ain't the same thing, to try to get you to taste it all over again. That's right, cuz, because that was a ministry we had named No Longer Bound. You got to know that you're not bound by the same thing. But what he's trying to do is get you twisted all back up in the same game by trying to present you the same thing that looks different, but it has the same smell. See, the residue of what was still there, or what you played in, sometimes still have some of the same stench, but because you ain't washed it all out. Y'all remember more Tupperware things we used to get, right? Yeah. My mom used to sell.
Right. They change the color, and it always
held the smell because it had pores in it. If your pores still have the same stench, Satan know how to send the right folk that has the ability to sniff out the residue that's still in your life. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the question. You know, down they got this called rinse and refresh thing now. You got to let Jesus do the rinse and refresh in your life.
Yes.
And when the residue has been moved, that boy can smell all he wants. It won't be there. The other night, last night, I woke up out of my sleep because God had given me the ability of a strong sense of smell. And I started smelling frankincense and myrrh burning in my bedroom. And I had to wake up to wonder, have somebody set a fire in my house? Then I thought about it because the smell kept coming. I said, okay, the Lord then showed up in my room. I said, something that God want me to hear or something God want me to see. And my wife was snoring her cag off. And I'm like, you don't smell that? The Lord that showed up in the bedroom and you sleep. You don't smell the fire of the Lord? I'm like, really? You don't? I'm like, okay, she sleeps. She don't hear me. No problem. Okay. So I said, okay, it must be something God want me to catch. It must be something God want me to see. So what I'm saying is sometimes God will burn some of the stench out of the air. You don't even know he around burning it, but you got to catch it when he do it because he want to cleanse you. So you got to stop just existing. Then you got to get to the place where, read that definition one more time and you take it over from here because our time getting ready to run out.
Okay, it says deal effectively with something difficult.
You got to be effective. Effective simply means you got to be nonstop. Here's my favorite word. You got to be consistent. To be effective, you have to be consistent. Effective simply means you're applying the pressure to it. And you're allowing yourself to exact all of your energy in that place because you're certain that you know what you're doing when you're being effective about what you're getting ready to do. Mm-hmm. Don't allow to me if I, hey, Apostle English, how you doing? Cuz another one of our family members on as well. You know that God has saved you because you accepted Christ. You confess with your mouth and you believed in your heart. You know that Jesus was raised from the dead, seated at the right hand of authority. You started learning because you took his yoke upon you and you started learning of him. You allowed yourself to get to the place that he began to remove some things because you wanted that release. You wanted to be free. You wanted to be at a place that you wanted rest in your soul. You wanted rest unto your soul. Notice he said rest unto your soul. You wanted to be at peace. You wanted to be at a place where you didn't just feel like you were just here. you were just abiding. You just was a part of something. You wanted to be more than that because you knew he created you for more. He created you for greater. You didn't want to just feel like a tool being used by somebody every now and then. You wanted to be complete. You wanted to be whole. You wanted to be satisfied. You wanted to make sure that when you came together with your husband or your wife or your significant other, because at the end of the day, you didn't want to feel like they had to go to somebody else. You had to go to somebody else. You wanted to know that was a wrap. It was satisfying. You wanted to be, so when you said I do, if that's what you did and you getting ready to do, that's a wrap. You know it's it. It's complete. When he said it's finished and he gave up the ghost, wasn't no need for him to come back and die again.
Come on.
That was a done deal. When he got his hand nailed to the cross, he annulled the law because there was no more need for no more sacrifices.
Come on.
With no more need for nobody else to do the same thing he did because it was a done deal. What he did the first time, that was a wrap.
Come on.
And everybody that keep going back saying, I need to get healed again for the same thing. If you didn't get healed right the first time, that was your fault. Because everybody that Jesus healed, he said, go your way and sin no more. So if you coming back for the same healing week after week and Sunday after Sunday, what you doing that you didn't do the first time?
Come on.
All right, cuz. God bless you, man. We're praying for you, man. The Lord be with you. The Lord keep you. The Lord strengthen. The Lord make sure he maintain you in every area. Appreciate you tonight. Listen, we got to do what's necessary to not just cope and exist and cope. We got to go forward. We got to be effective. He said the effectual prayer of the righteous. That means to continue.
Yes.
To be effective means you continue. Hey, cousin Deborah, how you doing, cuz? You got to continue. You got to be steadfast. Being steadfast means that's a continual walk. There's a steady march. There's a movement always going, always abounding. That means something you're always doing. Even if you forgot, wait, I was doing this over here, but I let my mind go. My wife and the kids, they deal with what they call the ADHD, where ADA and ADHD, you know, adult attention deficit and all that other good stuff. But then when it come back, she come right back to it. You got to learn how to stay focused. I told my wife, I guess I had it as a kid. When I was a kid, they called it what they call it? They called it hyperactivity. But my hyperactivity, I stayed focused because if I had 10 things going on at the same time, I was able to do all 10 things at the same time and complete it. And my teacher was like, "You finished all of it?" Yeah. And everything was completed and it was done right. But I was finished before everybody else, and I still had more time than everybody in the class. So they gave me busy work. Because I was done with everything. And I'm still like that. My brain seemed to never go to sleep at night.
Right.
When I do go to sleep, my wife waking up, turning over, and now I got to fight to go back to sleep. Because my brain always, I'm saying all of that because you got to continue moving. So I focus my brain on praying throughout the night. Because if I ain't praying throughout the night, my brain might go to Tishomingo and then go to California and then wind up in Hawaii and then wind up in Africa and then wind up somewhere in Asia and then go down to, with the place South Antarctica somewhere and then come back up to Florida and then go down to Georgia and then go down to Louisiana. So I got to stay in a place where God makes sure it's maintained. So you got to maintain some focus to be effective, but you got to have a plan. So if you're going to cope with something, what's your plan for coping?
Come on.
If you're going to exist, what have you established while you existing? And what are you existing for? Are you just existing for somebody? Or are you existing for something? So what we're living.
Okay, living is our next word. It says the pursuit of a lifestyle of the specific type. The root word is live. It says remain alive, be alive at a specific time, spend one's life in a particular way or under particular circumstances, supply oneself with the means of substance.
Well, you know, everybody want that lifestyle. They ain't about that life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, y'all know how it was when we wasn't saved. And y'all know we used to all talk that talk. You ain't about that. You ain't about that life. I'm definitely gonna stay in the box for sure, because before we got saved and since we've been saved, a lot of us want a certain lifestyle. You know, you got to establish a standard first to get to that place to have a certain lifestyle. That's a certain lifestyle that we all care to live. We all want to live. The way we dress, the way we wear our hair, men, the way we wear our faces. Every now and then I wear my beard growing out until it started itching too bad and I got to cut it off because I can't stand a whole lot of hair. I can't shave my head all the time, but I can't stand a lot of hair on my head. So my hair got to be shaved off again. So you're going to see me with a bald head in a couple of days or so. I love certain clothes that I love to wear, certain kinds of shoes that I love to wear. But all of it is determined by how you manage your money. Just because you make good money or you to work, 100 hours in a week, 180 hours in a week, you done killed yourself because you want to keep up with everybody else. Or as they used to say, the favorite saying was keeping up with the Joneses. You should not set your lifestyle based off of what somebody else have on, what they're wearing, the kinds of colognes and perfumes. Now, it's all right if somebody wears a certain cologne or a certain perfume and you like the way it smells and you would like to have it. Somebody have a certain kind of car or certain kinds of clothes. Every piece of clothes don't fit everybody's body type. And I think the problem is everybody want to wear the same kind of clothes that everybody wearing, but your body type don't fit the clothes that everybody wear. Your shoulders, the way the broadness, the smallness of your shoulders. Some people got small shoulders. Some people got broad shoulders. Some people got, wide bodies across the front, but small across the back. They wide across the stomach and small across the back. They have no hips. They have no waist. You understand? You have to make sure that your body fits the type of clothes because all clothes don't fit everybody. Some designers only design for certain type of people, a certain body type. So you have to make sure you want to live in a certain kind of neighborhood. You want to have a certain kind of house. You want certain kind of furniture. I love antique furniture. And that was a point before I was at a place where my heart condition put me at a place where I couldn't work, where I wore certain kinds of clothes, wore certain kinds of shoes. I had the job where I made the money to do that. The churches I pastored didn't pay me the money to do it like most pastors. They had the money because their churches paid them the money. The churches I pastored didn't. I worked a job that paid me the money to live the life that I wanted to live. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm grateful that our God has allowed us to come together in the faithful. This is wonderful. We'll talk later. Yes, ma'am. Definitely will. Tell Apostle and them that we said hello, that we sure appreciate them for loaning you tonight to us, cousin, and we definitely will get together soon. So when you talk about living, you talk about life, we got to live. You got to make sure you can maintain that. The biggest part of that, as I said, you have to be able to manage, subdue. If you're not managing well your mind, your thoughts, your mentality, your emotions, you're not managing well what you got coming in financially. If you're not taking care of what God says, if you rob God, then you can just be ready to know that God will allow the devourer to devour what you have, not just your finances, but your health. He's going to devour the way you think. He's going to devour your relationship. He's going to devour your car. He's going to devour the light bulbs, your children. He's going to cause a whole lot of things to take place because, see, you think because you ain't giving your tithe to the church that it's all right because you think you going to make sure the preacher ain't got no money. That ain't going to, once your money leave your hand and go to the church, your tithe and your offering, if they mismanage it, God going to deal with the financial officers at the church. And if pastor is mismanaging the money because he touching it, God going to deal with him. But if you gave it according to what God said, if you gave it willingly, if you gave it with a cheerful heart, I guarantee you God gonna make sure not just your finances, He gonna rebuke the devourer across the board.
Come on.
So you got to manage everything. So if you're not managing your time right, we tell our daughter all the time, you got to manage your time when it comes to school. I tell my kids, I tell my wife, you got to make sure that there's a structure set in place to establish a standard, to be able to establish the type of life and lifestyle that you want to live. So you got to have a way to be able to construct and conduct how you're going to go about what you're doing. So I'm going to stop there because our time is almost over. Our hour is almost done. You have anything that you want to end it off with? We appreciate all of our family, all of our friends that have been with us tonight. Cousin Lauren, Cousin Larry, Cousin Deborah, our daughter Shaquita, Apostle English. Who else was with us tonight that I was able to see? Everybody else that I wasn't able to see, we appreciate all of you.
Yes.
Because it was important to us for all of you. And the most important thing was all of the comments that we got tonight. We definitely appreciated that because the feedback was important to us tonight. So tell Apostle Thomas, tell Apostle Teresa, we definitely appreciate them. We definitely are grateful to it. I love you. I'm happy. I'm happy for all of you tonight. It was ecstatic and excited, but most of all, we thank the Spirit of the Lord, the Holy Ghost. We thank God. We thank Jesus Christ for allowing us tonight. We do this every Monday and every Saturday. And this was, as you heard Evangelist say, so that I can let her finish these last 5 minutes out, all because we sat at our table, her grandfather table that we had at our house.
Old raggedy table.
Old raggedy table, and it lasted a long time. That somebody asked me a question sitting at the table, and I was trying to eat some dinner. And they asked the question, I'm like, really? You see me? And I'm telling you what I actually said. You see me eating, and you really gonna ask me to the table? And they didn't say John that night. They said, well, Pastor, you know, you always love talking about the Bible. I'm like, yeah, but I'm eating right now. I had to stop eating. And because they knew, well, I don't want to stop you from eating. They knew once I started talking about the Lord, it wasn't going to be no more eating after that. And after that, it was no more eating. My food got cold and everything. And we were there for what, about 2 hours?
12 o'clock.
Yeah, 12 o'clock. Because we started at 7. And from 7 to 12, we were there, drank coffee. I think we went through 3 pots of coffee. So this is how it all started. And I love it because I love helping people, because there's been a time where I went for 3 days straight ministering to people. So this is what I love. This is my meat. This is my drink. This is my bread. Evangelist?
I just want to say thank God for everybody, as Apostle said, but to our daughter, I thank God for you.
Nicole?
I thank God for you because I'm going to tell you why. Nobody knows anybody's situation. Nobody knows what's going on, but it takes a big person to say, I needed this. I needed this word. This word was for me. Trust me, I don't take that lightly, especially whenever I walk in my job and my coworkers say, I love to watch y'all videos. Y'all videos help me get through the week. I like that because that let me know that the Spirit of God is leading us in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that it's not in vain. Because my biggest thing is if just one person get touched, or one person's life is smooth, that they can continue to move on, it was worth it.
Yes.
It was worth that time and that sacrifice for us to sit down and have that conversation. But you don't have to worry about that, boo, because you're more than welcome to come on out here to Land O'Lakes. And let's sit on over at that table and have us a cup of coffee. And I got me a new recipe on how to make some cinnamon rolls. And we'll have us some cinnamon rolls and coffee. And we'll really do some serious talking. I love each of y'all. I pray for each and every one of y'all. Y'all keep us in prayer. Because trust and believe me, we get tested and tried even after we do a lot of these videos. Because of the fact sometimes Satan want to creep in our house too.
That's right.
And we have to bring ourselves back under subjection. Not only just to God, but to each other. So I want you to understand this is work for us, just like it's work for you. So when we talking about these conversations that we having, those conversations is just not for y'all. Those conversations are for us too. Because God can't deliver you if he don't deliver us too. And why should we be tinkling brass? And then what Paul said, why should we just
don't be a sounding brass and a tinkling?
Exactly. We don't want to be that because of the fact we don't want to tell you something that we're not doing. And sometimes I look at it like this. My sister always tell me this. I'm always looking for an example because if you can show me how to do it, I got it. My biggest thing is we're trying to show you how to do it, not only through our mouth and not only through our talk, but through our lifestyle and how we walk. So y'all continue to pray for us. as we continue to pray for you. Have a good night. We will pick back up this conversation and get ready to end this conversation on Saturday, because of the fact a lot of times all of us have been to a place where we have just exist, we have coped, and we thought we were living, but we wasn't really living, because you can't be living if you're living from paycheck to paycheck. That's not living.
That's right. You got to do like Bernie Mac said. He said, who you with and how you living. That's another one of my favorite sayings. So go ahead.
So tonight I'm going to end off with John 3:2. It says, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. So we know that in order for all of these things to happen, and for us to be able to really move out of these places, God is elevating us and taking us somewhere. So whenever he elevates us and he's taking us somewhere, we know that as our soul prosper, everything else will prosper as well. So we love you, we love you, we love you. Good night, and we'll see you on Saturday at 8.
Good night, y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Oh, Bible class on Wednesday night at 6:30. Now, if we happen to go on about 6:20, 6:25, that's just how the Spirit of the Lord moves. But 6:30 every Wednesday night here at Shepherd is when we go live for our Fire Fuel Wednesday night Bible study. You don't want to miss it. If you're in Bible class, don't stop your Bible class and join our Bible class. A Bible class every Wednesday night at 6:30. We love you too,
We
daughter.
love you too.
You got our number. You're more than welcome to call us. And we right here in Land O'Lakes. You're more than welcome to come on by. Let's sit down. Let's chat it up. Let's chew the fat. Let's get what we need to get. And thank God that the Spirit of the Lord moved, because that was the Holy Ghost. We have no idea what's going on in your life. But that meant that when the Holy Ghost came in the room last night and the fire of the Lord started burning, that meant he had something planned to be able to help somebody tonight. So if this blessed you and it was blessing you and you got something from it, share it with somebody else. We'll give you the rest as the Spirit give it to us on Saturday night. But those of you that don't have nowhere to be on Wednesday night, join us live as we go before the Lord in our Bible class on Wednesday. Sleep well, rest well. We love you. See you Wednesday and see you Saturday. Take care now.